Hey everybody, welcome back to Street Smart Business. Eric Brown, your host. I am here with Trevor Rood from Foghorn Designs in Norwalk, Ohio. This is going to be our maiden voyage of business and bourbon interview series. So Trevor, you're going to be the guinea pig here.
You give me a
so
that's fine.
And hence the bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the bourbon. Well, hey, for people that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, what your business is?
Sure. I'm Trevor Rood. Had Foghorn Designs. Started that up in September of 2009. It was...
So you're over the 10-year mark now.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a little bit of a fluke on the startup. It wasn't something that was planned.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I went to school for automotive design. And in 2008, that industry... we all know
right.
tanked. So I was kind of lost and trying to find something to do. And in the meantime, I was working for a local custodial company and cleaning windows.
Understand?
Boss had bought a new trailer and was talking about needing to get it lettered up, and thought it was kind of an interesting thing to look into. And I was like, oh, might be something I'd enjoy. So kind of looked at what it would cost to get some basic equipment. I mean, made in China, probably Wuhan.
Came with the virus already included.
The virus already there. And small $1,000 loan, bought a little bit of equipment and got started on a desk that was probably 4 feet by 3 feet in my bedroom. Was still living with my parents at the time, and within a month or two moved to the basement there. And word of mouth that first year got me to a point where I quit the other job entirely and
Very cool.
got a storefront uptown in Norwalk. So 2010, I think it was July 2010 is when I moved uptown in Norwalk.
So is that within the first year?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So September of 2009 is the first job I did. July of 10 is when I quit that job, bought my first printer, and moved uptown. So... from there, I mean, it's been quite a roadmap of even physical roadmap too. Moving, I'm in my 4th location. I took over the basement at that location, and then outgrew that. Purchased Hoffman Screen Printing.
Okay.
In 2013, and for about close to a year, I operated out of 2 locations. And
well, just real quickly, when you bought Hoffman's.
Yes.
Was that like doubling the size of your business in one purchase, or was that, size and scale of that purchase, I guess?
Probably tripling.
Oh, got you.
Yeah. The sign shop, initially I was just signs.
Mm-hmm.
and vinyl graphics, banners and that kind of thing. I want to say I was doing maybe around 150 in revenue a year.
Wow.
At that time.
So you said that was 13.
Yes.
So you're 4 or 5 years in.
Yes.
Already well into 6 figures in gross sales.
Yes.
Already moved out of mom's bedroom, mom's basement, into the first location, and then bought the other business.
Yes.
So
and
grass wasn't growing under your feet there.
No. Yeah. No, we were moving.
Gotcha.
When I purchased the screen print company, off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was north of 300 just on that end.
Wow.
So I went from 150 to 450, 500, somewhere around there. And we were there. We maintained both locations for a little while. I was really only operating with 2 employees. I had 1 employee at the garment shop, 1 employee at the sign shop, and then I bounced between. And it just wasn't an efficient way to do things.
Understand.
So I needed to go to the place that had the most space, which was where the screen print shop was, which was on Ontario Street, the old Van Dresser building.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there until September of 15.
So we were renting all the spaces, either bumming off of mom,
Correct.
Mom and dad,
Correct.
or we were renting the spaces all the way up through and including when you made that additional business purchase.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. So we were on Ontario Street until, like I said, September of 15, and a whole slew of things happened there that we needed to find a space in 48 hours to move.
So what's that like? I mean, is that a phone call that you get in the middle of the night? Do you get a certified letter?
Well, I'll tell you, I should have seen the writing on the wall. And looking back, it was there for a while.
The writing was there.
The writing was there for a while.
Gotcha. Well, if you ignore it, it's not real.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know? And it was beyond anything I could control. Aside from, I should have just moved earlier. But I didn't even get a phone call from the people I should have got a phone call from. I got a phone call from a friend of my dad's. My dad retired from the electric company.
Okay.
And his friend was still there and knew what was going down. And he said that the power was going to be shut off to this building on Thursday. And this was a Tuesday. This was Tuesday.
No kidding.
He said on Thursday, we're coming in and it's getting shut down to we rented a very small portion of that factory building.
Right.
There were other businesses in there. So we weren't the only ones affected. But sure enough, they came on Thursday and shut it down. And I called my landlord after I heard this. Said, don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine.
Nice. So what was the first thought when you find this out? Is it disbelief? Is it fear?
Oh, absolute disbelief.
Is it pissed off?
I didn't even have time to get mad. I didn't have time to be afraid. I couldn't believe it. I was just waiting to wake up from that dream.
Right.
I'm like, this. What am I supposed to do here? So I called the chamber.
Okay.
And
Huron County Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Talked with the director, and she got on the phone and was searching right away for me. We found the spot out at the airport, Huron County Airport, and it was the only place available in that time frame.
I understand.
It needed a complete remodel, but it was the only place we could go. It was that, or we were shut down. So
it had a roof, right?
It had a roof, and even that wasn't the greatest. But we moved out there, and over Labor Day weekend, we were only down for 2 business days. On Thursday we started moving, and at 10 o'clock on Thursday, while we were moving, the electric was shut off. Fortunately, there were a lot of windows in that building, so we could still see.
Right.
But we got out and got set up. We had to tear down walls, build some walls, run some new electric over the weekend, and Labor Day weekend, Monday's closed. So fortunately, we would have been closed that day, but on Tuesday we were back up full operation.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Looking back on it, I don't know how it worked out. It did, but I had some employees at that time. There were 5 of us,
right?
Maybe 6 at that time, and they all pitched in. We went to town. I paid them in pizza and beer, and we got it done. So yeah, just to be closed for 2 days on an unplanned, picking up everything and moving, worked out. But the airport was never the plan. Not a spot I wanted to be at. It was pretty cool. I mean, see the airplanes come in, like 3. But
did it interrupt business in any way?
But yeah, the airport was never a plan. So the spot that we're currently in is a location that I've been wanting to be in for years. And the landlord I know real well. He's always wanted me to be there, but he had a tenant there at the time and wasn't going to kick him out. And he ended up retiring. Space became available, and then in October of 2017, we moved uptown to where we are now.
Almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
October will be 3 years. It's crazy.
Now, have you taken any safeguards or done anything differently? Because again, you're still leasing, renting, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
Is there anything that you did that's different than when you were at the old Van Dresser building to help protect yourself going forward?
So part of what we've done is I have partnered up with a couple of very reputable print houses. If something were ever to happen like this again, I can go without missing a beat as long as I can get my design computers moved first. We won't miss anything. If our equipment has to be down for a week or 2 weeks while we're setting up the new space, I do have print houses that are local in Ohio.
Sure.
That I can still get signage produced, banners, that kind of thing. So they're great to use in a pinch, in an emergency, and I think moving forward, if something like that were to ever happen again, downtime would be minimal. And it was the first move too. The downtime was minimal, but it wasn't planned. So that's probably the biggest thing that I could take from that and preparing for a similar event in the future. Hopefully we don't have to. I mean, this space we're in is, the whole building's 11,000 square feet. Wow. We use about 5,500. Mm-hmm. And we have room to grow in that building. So it's just a great location. Uptown, you have a parking lot, which not many people have.
Right, that's bonus.
Yeah.
So what is Foghorn Designs? We know you do, we talked about wrapping some vehicles, doing some signs. What do you actually do?
So I would say that if I had to take it down and really just focus on one thing, we are a design company. Mm-hmm. We're not a sign shop. We're not a screen print shop. We're a design company. That's our focus. And
so let's take it one step back, because I don't think everybody's going to quite get what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. When you say design company, I am a small business owner, and I walk into your front door, and I'm walking into a design company.
Sure.
What does that mean to me?
Well, I think if you walk into our front door, we're disguised very well as a sign shop and a screen print shop.
Understand? Yeah. We're not that, but
we're disguised very well as that, and that's because that's the product that we put our designs on. But our niche and our specialty is our design, our graphic design, logo design, branding, ad design, art. We like the creative. If you have the right equipment and someone who knows how to use it, mm-hmm. anyone can print a shirt. It's what you're putting on the shirt that separates us from where you may, go online and be able to pick clip art and put something together. So I like to say we are a design company. We happen to make shirts and signs, mm-hmm. banners, vehicle graphics. But our focus and what we pride ourselves in is design.
So the value comes in the creative piece of it, the design piece, helping to design logos, correct. Brand images.
Yeah.
And the byproduct of that, or the end result of that, is the sign, the shirt, the banner,
correct.
Whatever.
Correct.
Understand?
Yeah.
What if we look 5 years in the future? And Foghorn Designs, as you just defined, is a creative company. How are you going to continue to bring that to market if all of a sudden just being a shirt, sign, and banner company isn't the best or most profitable outlet for that creativity and for that design work? That's something there as a business owner. We all have to, right now we're all worried about the next, how can we create profit the next 3 weeks?
Right.
That's the real reality now.
Right.
But again, if you were considered non-essential today, profit is impacted today. So coming out, yes, we're going to have brand issues that are going to become relevant. We're going to have to reestablish our brands for some businesses.
Sure.
Is it always going to be shirts, signs, banners? I know you've done some work with some web design.
Sure.
I know you've done some other things, but I think for you guys, that creative aspect is priceless, and you can charge margin for that. So figuring out different outlets besides commodity products, sure. of shirts, signs, banners,
right?
That's where that homework needs to be done for sure.
Sure. I think that I've done when I started, this was vinyl graphics. Mm-hmm. And it's evolved into, we got the screen print, we got the embroidery, we have a laser machine now. I guess I forgot to put that we also purchased a wood shop back in 2015, but
why wouldn't you?
It's a little, it was, the wood shop was just more for the accessibility to the equipment there and being able to utilize that in our sign production.
Now, does that company still exist?
It does.
Okay.
It does. It's on Foghorn Woodworks.
Okay.
So my dad operates
Is that located at the same facility?
No, it's we rent a space out in Norwalk Furniture.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's back corner of their building, and we actually produce a lot of their, call them stick parts. They're just internal bracketry and pieces for their upholstered furniture. But it has the equipment that I need as a sign maker.
Understand.
To be able to produce carved, cut, contoured signage. So it was a great price, and gave my dad something to do. So
it's always important.
He's retired, so keep him from driving my mom crazy. He wouldn't do that.
I understand completely.
So I feel like I've evolved, but it's been reactive evolution, not quite proactive. And so sitting down and game planning the future, setting up a roadmap, it's something that I'm constantly thinking of. It's fluid though. It's ever evolving. But yeah, I don't know exactly. It's hard to tell what's going to happen in 5 years that I'm going to have to adjust to. We're a small enough company that we can be agile. We can move. There's not a huge corporation that needs the logistics to be able to adjust to a new design avenue or production avenue. We can turn on a dime and make those adjustments, and we've done that. We've made.
You had to move a whole business in 48 hours.
A whole business in 48 hours. So I pride myself and the company in being open to change and embracing new ideas as they present themselves.
Sure. Some of the best ideas in history weren't forecast 10 years out,
Sure.
5 years out.
Sure.
There was an immediate need or an immediate opportunity that presented itself that somebody that was captive, always aware, always looking, always sensitive to something that would come up, created a new business model, a new product,
Sure.
a new service, and was able to leap at it. So anybody that tells you that they've got their 5-year, 10-year plan, I'm going to call bullshit on that. But it is smart to have projections.
Sure.
It keeps you pointed in the right direction, but always having the freedom and the flexibility to fork off the road a little bit. Because all the goodies, all the profit is on the outside of the main highway.
Right.
Main highway commodity, t-shirts, banners, signage. That's the main highway. All the high margin stuff is going to be on those little exits that you get off of once in a while.
Sure.
I want to take a step back.
Okay.
And we'll come back to Foghorn because there's lots of fun stuff that we have to ask about yet.
All right.
What was your first entrepreneurial experience? I mean, you talked about you were getting automotive design or whatever.
Sure.
Was there something was there a paper route? Were you like a Boy Scout? Was something happening? You were selling something? What was the first time that you thought, you know what? This whole being self-employed and this being my own boss thing makes sense?
I could take it back to my first entrepreneurial experience, second grade. I got in a lot of trouble for it, but I would make bookmarks and sell them to my peers in school. I got in trouble because, one, you're not allowed to sell things as a student. You can't run a business during the school day, I guess. But
communist.
I was also making the bookmarks during class. So,
Yeah, right.
I'm sitting in the back cutting out paper and drawing on it, and then covering it with glue to Elmer's glue, and it would dry, and then I would cut around it and be a nice little custom designed bookmark, and so I sold those. I think I sold those for 25 cents a piece.
You're rolling then.
Well, as
were you like getting the girls and stuff because you were rolling in quarters, or how'd that work out for you?
No. So that's probably the first one. I was always creative. My dad was always into woodworking and projects in the basement. I remember I used to make birdhouses all the time, and my mom would sell them at her salon. And I don't remember how much we sold them for. They were probably $5 or $10, and I know I sold some. I don't remember how many. But yeah, I used to just go down in the basement and take scrap wood and make birdhouses and paint them up Ohio State colors or whatever. I know I gave my 5th grade teacher a Ohio State birdhouse.
Just so you would pass?
Yeah, I needed to suck up. And paper route, middle school, I had a bike that I wanted, and so the paper route. As soon as I bought the bike, I quit the paper route. I hated the paper route. But,
right. We had an exit strategy.
Right.
That's something all of us entrepreneurs
got it.
We always forget to have.
Right. Then beyond that, I was always into sports cards, sports memorabilia, buying and selling, trading. I never let myself lose a deal on those. If it was a trade, I always made sure that I got the better end of that trade.
I understand.
And then I probably took a break in the high school years. I played football and I was in martial arts and I taught that. I got up to third degree black belt in Taekwondo. And a lot of my focus went towards that. And then got a band and played. So high school there wasn't much entrepreneurial activity those years. But, my mom's always owned a business since, before I was born. So she was a salon owner, still is. And so it's in my blood a little bit. My dad was always the creative, so I think I got a lot of that from him, a lot of the hands-on, the mechanical side. I really like being hands-on, so I like building signage. Hands-on, constantly different things. I'm not always stuck behind a computer or, doing the same thing every day. So, I think I got the creative from my dad. I got the entrepreneurial element from my mom, and kind of merged the two, and
that's how we created the superhero that is now Trevor Rood.
Yes, superhero.
So superhero Trevor Rood now is the leader of a team at Foghorn. What's it like being in charge of people?
That was something I never prepared for. Getting into this, this was doing that first trailer lettering for my boss. It was the coolest thing. I get to do something that I created and get paid for it. And then the word of mouth and the name gets out there, and okay, cool, let's move into a building. Okay, now shit, I've got bills. So I have to produce more than I was before, and to a point where you get up and go to work at 6:30, 7 in the morning and get home at midnight. That was 2 years for sure before I even hired my first employee, and I'm just getting wore out. I knew I wasn't going to be able to continue growing and be able to do it on my own. I wasn't doing it really on my own. When you have to work 18 hours to make ends meet.
Well, let's go back for a second.
Sure.
During that time where you're the one-man band, so were you advertising it properly? Were you keeping all your bookkeeping and stuff current and up to date? Was all of the functions of a successful business being done, or was it just put out the hottest fire first and keep the client happy?
I School of Hard Knocks here. I had no training.
Best school there is.
Yeah. So it was problem came up and you figure out how to take care of it. Some problems came up and I didn't take care of it, and that came back to bite me in the ass later on. And still things that I'm getting out of now from decisions I made 7 years ago.
Yep.
But yeah, advertising, no. I really didn't do any. It was all word of mouth initially, and it took off from there. Facebook was still in its infancy. It wasn't real popular. It was popular, but it wasn't what it is today. There may not have even been business pages back then at that time. I don't know. I can't remember when I did the first page. Probably 2013 is when I really built the first Foghorn Facebook page. I think.
Okay.
For Foghorn. I had a personal one like in 2006, but...
Just for the ladies. Yeah.
All of them. Yes. I'm trying to think of when I created that. But that was the extent of my marketing for a very long time. It wasn't until I had brought in a few employees that I realized, okay, well, the word of mouth isn't quite enough anymore. Now we need to really start buckling down and advertising. And we've done some trial and error. I mean, it was really, at the time, throwing money into the dark and hoping it hit something. You know,
Right.
It wasn't targeted marketing. It was poor marketing, 100% poor marketing, and it continued for. I don't want to know how much money I've spent on marketing that never returned anything, but it's more than I care to figure out.
It's a lesson you had to pay for.
Literally.
And
yes.
Apparently, we all have a different figure of how much that lesson cost.
Sure. Yeah.
And you had yours.
I had mine.
And I've had mine. So, yeah.
So I got away from paid advertising for a while. I was like, you know what? Until I know where to put that money, I'm not going to pay for advertising. Now I do some trade for advertising. You know, the radio. That's something that honestly I say I would probably not, if I had to pay for it, I probably never would have done it to begin with. So I probably still wouldn't be doing it, but it has been lucrative.
Understand?
More than print advertising as far as paper or mailers or anything like that. For me. Now,
Sure.
I'm not saying that's for everyone, but for
every
me,
single
that's
business is going to have to find
right.
what their medium is
Right.
that gets them to their desired client.
Because I don't want to say that other stuff doesn't work.
Right.
It just hasn't done well for me.
Right.
And it may do wonders for others. And it does because it's still around.
Now you dodged the question.
Sorry.
No, and it's very important, honestly and truly, that we chat about this, because this is really, as a self-employed business person, dealing with employees.
Oh yeah,
is the hardest thing we do, for good and bad reasons. And I think you have a unique team that you've put together now. And I think the way that you lead needs to be emulated by a lot of people. There's good things that you've done that I think people can steal and use in their own business. So, what is it? I mean, what goes through your mind when you show up and you know you're responsible for 4, 5, 6 other people?
That's a big weight. That's a big weight on the shoulders. The decisions that I make are no longer just affecting me; they're affecting all my employees, their families. You know.
Now I gotta stop you because during this whole Corona bullshit, I've seen all the non-business people attack business owners, saying that we don't care about our employees. We're willing to put them at risk for our profit, money over lives. And what you're telling me, what you're getting ready to tell me, and what you have told me so far is that couldn't be further from the truth.
I would sacrifice mine before theirs. You know, I have a very strong connection with all of them. They're superstars. I've got a crew there that none of them are great at everything, but all of them are fantastic at something, and they complement each other very well. I unfortunately I had to lay them off. It was, in a way, the best decision for them and myself. Ultimately, for the company. If I would have tried to keep them along, and you know, I would have run out of capital real fast. 90% of our customers are shut down. So our orders 3 weeks leading up to the stay-at-home order in the state. Our numbers were terrible, and I was doing everything I could to keep them working, keep them employed. When they came out with the stay-at-home order, and they did the additional benefits for the COVID unemployment. At that point, I felt okay. In order to save this company and have a job for them to come back to, it's what I had to do. If I wouldn't have done that, I probably the business wouldn't have survived. And we're not out of it. There's no guarantee the business does survive. I will fight till I'm dead for it to survive, and I do everything I can to get those employees taken care of, and to bring them back. I call them. I don't even call them employees. I'm saying it in this conversation with their family.
Right.
I'll do everything I can to bring them back and make sure they're taken care of. And they're behind me, 100%. they understand. They
You know why they are, Trevor?
Back.
Because they're not employees.
Right. Yeah,
They're family.
That's right.
That's why they're behind you.
That's right. That's right. We do a Zoom meeting every Sunday night. I take them pizza. Last week I did cookies as well.
Dude, I didn't get any.
Well, you're not. I mean, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring you in one. But we do it on Sunday evenings. I may have said Saturday, but we do it on Sunday evenings at 7 o'clock. We get together. We hang out. Usually lasts an hour and a half. We just hang out and talk. I mean, I've given them some updates on what I'm doing at the shop. I've given them some updates on what I plan to do when we come back. But right now, I don't. When we're together in that moment, that's my family that I haven't seen all week. I don't really want to talk business. I want to see how they're doing.
Yep.
So
how are they doing right now? I mean, how are they, as employees that are used to getting up and kicking ass every single day, how are they handling being shut down?
They would all rather be at work. They'd rather be at the shop. With this additional 600 that everyone's getting a week, they're not hurting in that sense. But they like to be creative, and they don't have that outlet right now. They like to be around people. They don't have that capability right now. They're doing well. They're doing as well as anyone could be doing, considering the circumstances. But they're ready to be back, and I'm ready to have them back. I can't wait to get everyone back. We're gonna have a big old party and have a good time. But not every employee I've ever had has been that way. I think I've compiled a group of people who complement each other very well and who enjoy each other's company, and it's probably not what it was a couple years ago. And not saying that I've never had a bad employee. It's just I've never had a group that meshes so well. Right now, employees, they're not a headache for me. I enjoy them, and then this is just a tough time because it's something that I feel, what could I have done a month ago to maybe be more prepared for this? I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Is that something that's going to be part of planning in the future? Is it going to be like, hey, here's my fear, is now that we've done this, now that we've given supreme power to one person to rule over us, and we all fell in line like a bunch of sheep going to pasture and gave up our freedoms and liberties without a fight, do you think it'll be faster and easier next time?
I think for some, potentially. For me and my family, they're going to have a real hard time.
Preach on, brother.
They're going to have a real hard time next time. I won't get into the politics of it all, but they were wrong this time. And until they can prove themselves right, I'm going to do my thing.
Yep.
So
with your employees, what are some things that you've done to groom them to be better than what they would have been on their own, or better than what they would have been just coming in with no management and just be, plugged into the system?
I give them a lot of creative freedoms at the shop. I do not like to micromanage. That is, I've got enough things to deal with. I don't need to manage every little thing that everyone does. I make sure they have the tools they need to succeed. I make sure that they know something over the past... Sorry, I'm going to digress just a little bit. Something over the past 2 years that I've been working on. I need to be more focused on it, but something that I've been working on is getting my company systemized and having processes in place. And something that was hard for me before, but is much easier now, is to delegate. I don't have a problem with it now. The company started off, it was my baby, and it was hard to give pieces away.
Nobody can do it as good as you can do it.
I don't even know if that's what my mentality was. I don't know why I had that. It was just, I don't know if it was that I think they couldn't do it as well, or I just enjoyed. I didn't want to give it away. I enjoyed every part of the business. I enjoy, but when I have to do every part of the business, I can't. I just can't balance it all. So, I think I allow them to make mistakes, and I think through mistakes we learn better than any other way. So I allow them to make mistakes. I would be surprised if anyone told you I ever yelled at them for making a mistake. I can't think of a time. I've sat down with people and said, okay, listen, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Next time this situation comes up, this is how we'll handle it. Now, if you don't handle it that way the next time, we might have a problem.
Right.
But they always do it.
Mm-hmm.
The next time they don't, and I said, I've made every mistake you've made 100 times. Why I didn't learn from it after the first time, I don't know. But I'm going to make sure you do. And you're not going to make that mistake again. And I think by treating them as, like I said, they're in my family. They care about me as much as I care about them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to mess up. So when they do, the feeling that they have is strong enough.
Right. More than you could ever say to them.
More than I could ever say. And if I yell at them or if I lose my cool, it's not going to make them, it's not going to affect them any worse than what they're feeling already. And they don't want to do that again. So they learn how to do it right. They do it right the next time. And I'm not saying that no one ever makes the same mistake twice, but I think they're harder on themselves than I am on them. Mm-hmm. And, we just make sure that it's right the next time. And I think that's why we've been able to create this family.
Sure.
There's a mutual respect and just an understanding of, you're not perfect. No one is. So we're going to make mistakes. And, we've paid for several of them. But we made it out of them all, too. So, yeah.
So tell me about, now I've been at your place once or twice.
Oh, yeah. A couple times, yeah.
Once or twice. Tell me about the whiteboard in the conference room.
So that's a new thing that we just started probably back in, I want to say, touching my face.
You're going to hell, brother.
I never realized how much.
We never measured until actually. I don't think
this isn't 6 feet.
No, this is more like 3.5 feet.
Yeah. Well, don't send it to DeWine.
Amy Acton's going to be at my door this weekend. So the whiteboard.
The whiteboard. So we have this whiteboard in our conference room that's kind of a storage room right now. We've done it. The shop is constantly evolving. We're adding walls. We're moving spaces around, trying to become as streamlined as possible. So now we have this room that's going to be a conference room. It's currently storage and a laser room, and it's wherever we have a whiteboard, and we have a daily huddle every morning. We've changed the time throughout the day, and we've settled on morning. It just seems to be the best time to do it. And on that board, we have our quarterly focus. So I don't know exactly what, we haven't been at the shop for a month and a half. We haven't had these meetings, so I can't remember what this one is. I want to say it's under promise, over deliver, I believe is this quarter. If it's not, it was last quarter's. So we have that's up there. They see it daily. Next to that, we have a weekly goal, and it might just be a big project.
Now, is it an individual goal for each employee, or is it as a team goal?
So the quarterly goal and the weekly goal is a team goal.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. So we have our quarterly, we have our weekly. It changes, and then below that we have some metrics. New orders that came in the day before, orders that are due tomorrow, orders that are past due, and then we also track our emails. How many emails came into us, how many emails we responded to. I like to keep those in front of us so that we can make sure that, one, we've got jobs coming in. Two, we know what we have to focus on if there's something that's due tomorrow that's not done. A big red flag on anything that's late. And there's certain things that are under our control and certain things that aren't under our control when things are late. So as long as we're in contact with our customers, then we're okay. But And then emails. How many emails did we get in? Did we respond to all of them? And we try to respond to all of them. Sometimes it's not a very realistic goal, but we certainly would respond to them the following day. Below that, that's when we break it up into individual employees,
Okay.
team members. And on that individual area, we have a daily win. So what happened the day before that?
A win per employee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll call up our first team member and, okay, what was your win from yesterday? And it can be personal, it can be business related.
So wait a second now. That sounds to me like you're all getting together as a group every day.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're getting together as a group every day. This meeting takes 10 minutes at the most.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like to waste a lot of time doing it, but it's just a good positive way to start the day.
Sure.
So they'll give us a win. Maybe they saw a good movie the night before, or they, that one customer that was a little upset about something, they turned it around and now they're ecstatic about how things turned out. They have that win. A daily goal is the next thing that they'll give us. If there's that one project that you're just trying to get out and you want to focus on that and get it out today, or that one customer you want to talk to and reach out to, whatever that may be. The goal is business related. The win can be personal or business. The goal is business. After that, we have, what do we have under that? We have our wins, we have our goals, then we have a volunteer program.
Okay.
So we track our volunteer hours. And at our company retreat that we have in either September or October every year, whoever has the most volunteer hours that previous year gets an additional 2 days paid vacation.
Nice.
So it's not a whole lot, but it's something to
Sure.
take a long weekend, take a Friday and a Monday off, nice long 4-day weekend, take a Thursday and a Friday off, whatever. They can use that however they want to, and that's been a bit of a motivator. I'm just trying to get us involved in the community. It's something that I believe in. It's something that I haven't really pushed with the team, but they've grabbed onto it, and it's cool. Over the weekends they'll do something with a church group or with United Fund or something, and those every week those numbers just grow a little bit more, and it turns into a bit of a competition.
Sure.
Ooh, someone got 4 hours this weekend. I better do a little bit extra this week to get and it's nice. So that's that. On the other side of the board, we have top of mind. If there's just something that we need to keep on the top of our mind that week, a big project coming up, or making sure, it could be anything that needs to stay top of mind. Red flags, anything from a certain product that we sell a lot of is out of stock currently, or a customer had a complaint. Anything that we need to pay some attention to and get taken care of. Currently, I think one of the items I have is one of our printers needs a new print head, so it's not printing. So it's like, okay, I need to write on that. And then at the bottom, I have a spot for volunteer opportunities. If I hear of anything in the town, I can write those down, or if anyone hears anything, they can write those down so everyone can see where they can volunteer. And then just recommendations: good books, good movies, good restaurants, good places to go and take a hike, whatever. So it's just a nice spot that everyone can go to every morning, see how everyone's doing, see how the company's doing, and know where our focus needs to be directed that day, and come out with it feeling good. We try to keep everything very positive in that meeting. It's a quick 10-minute meeting.
Well, one thing that's awesome that you're saying is that you're in a creative design business, a branding business. And the thing that I pull from your whiteboard already is just going back to your volunteer program. I mean, when you're authentically engaged out in the community, giving of time freely, again, your people and you are not out doing that to get advertising for it.
Right.
You're doing it because it's something that each of your employees and yourself, or team members, family, and yourself are proud of, or have a passion for.
Sure.
So when you do that, that's authentically brand building who Foghorn Designs is at its core. So in its DNA, every single day, there's a volunteer piece, an empathetic piece, a piece that gives a crap about the people around them. So again, we go back to when we hear about, the employer, the small business owner doesn't care, doesn't have a heart, puts money over lives, and all this stuff. What you're just telling me, authentically, what you do as part of your daily business inside of your family, proves that it's all hogwash.
Absolutely.
It's all garbage.
Absolutely.
So we talked about the whiteboard. Where'd that idea come from?
So let's see here. Let's go back to 2018, January. I was there's an author that I was gifted a book. My mom actually gifted me a book. Author called, his name's Mike McCallowitz.
Sure.
The book was Profit First, and this is 17, 18. Without getting into too much detail, those were rough years for me, for the company. My mom had found this book and said, you know what, you should probably read this.
Now, had she read it?
She had heard about it.
Gotcha.
And you can go on Amazon, you can read like 5 pages or something of every book. She went on and read about that much of it.
So apparently she determined,
ordered it,
that you needed some profit in your business.
She actually was buying the book for herself.
Oh, okay.
She had been, someone recommended it to her or something, and she was reading it, and she was like, I'm gonna read this and tell Trevor about it, and she's like, he needs to read this. And I was not a reader. I'll be the first to admit that prior to 2018, I had probably read 2 books in my life. Since then, it's been, I think the number's well over 80 now.
That's awesome.
So I
Very
love reading. It's not all of it's reading. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but between listening to audiobooks and reading, it's over 80 books for sure in the last 2 years, which has helped tremendously. So anyway, this first book, Profit First, just fell in love with this author. He spoke to me. He spoke my language. I understood what he was saying. I'm not the most intellectual person, so you talk to me philosophical terms, you're going to lose me. Tell me how it is, drop some F-bombs, I'll listen to you. And that's exactly how it was just real talk, and that's how you can get through to me. And it did. His Profit First system really spoke to me, and then I found, okay, he's got 3 or 4 books. And he came out with another book in August of 2018 called Clockwork. Run Like Clockwork. And so I got that book immediately. I probably read that book in 3 hours. It was probably 6, but...
Let's say that's fast reading. I read the book, and it took me longer than 3 hours.
I picked it up, and I didn't put it down until I was done.
That's great.
So I literally read it in an afternoon or a Saturday, like a whole day, whatever it was. I don't know. It felt like 6 hours. It may have been 12. But I literally picked it up and I didn't set it down until it was done. It's a book that I'll read several times. It's a workbook. It's not just information. There's a lot of projects that you have to do, a lot of worksheets to fill out. He teamed up with... when he wrote the book, he had teamed up with a lady who kind of had this system. She was doing consultation with it, and he liked the system, so he wrote the book about it. I got an email. It was just an email blast from him talking about this coaching that they were going to be offering, and I signed up for it. I'm actually still in the program. It's kind of ongoing. It never really ends. You're always improving the business. But it's all about systemizing processes and procedures, getting your business so it can run without you. Clockwork. That whiteboard is part of what they do. It's just part of that connection between the employees, and in a shop like ours, we all work in our bubbles, and we collaborate, but not every department collaborates. So having that collective meeting every day, it was something that they talked about in the book, and something I wanted to give a shot.
Well, we need to unpack this a little bit. First of all, you went out into the marketplace and sought expertise.
Yes.
Now, his program's free, right?
No.
It's not free.
The book is, you can buy the book for $20, but the coaching is not free. Now, there's a lot of information that he gives out that is free. A lot of his information is free. I chose, I don't know how many different programs they have within the Clockwork group. I chose the most intense. I mean, there were 5 of us in this group. It was essentially a masterminds group, but it was also, we were receiving coaching.
So you had multiple, 4 or 5 other entrepreneurs, small business owners.
From around the country.
Not necessarily in the same industry or business that you were in.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And you were all going to walk through this process together.
Yes.
So when we unpack it, there's a couple things that I think are critical here. One is, it's not free.
Correct.
So it is now a non-negotiable for you in your budget that money set aside to be coached, to be mentored, to do whatever it takes to increase the efficiency, the operational capacity, the ability to create a whole entire system that doesn't require Trevor, the superhero, to be in the middle of it for it to be profitable and operational, correct?
Yes.
The second thing that comes into mind is the mastermind piece of it. Is that I'm assuming when you go through this process, you're also interacting with the other participants.
Yeah.
So you have other people that, even though they're in different sectors, different businesses than yours, different sizes and scale of what you have, you all have similar issues, correct?
Correct.
And everybody is good or bad. We talked about with employees. Not everybody's good at everything, but they're good at something. So within your mastermind group, we also have entrepreneurs that have mastered how to create a process, how to create a disaster plan, how to figure out margins for product.
Correct.
How to systematize an operation to create, operational efficiency throughout the business. Everybody's got their specialty.
Sure.
So all of a sudden, is this an easy budget item to write the check for? You have such humongous lottery size net profits within your business that it's easy to write this check, correct?
Yeah, right. No. This was, when I decided to take this coaching on, was probably the lowest point of my career in terms of financial stability. And it's a chunk of change. And it was something that I believed so much in from reading these books, and I knew what I was going to get out of it. I didn't know how it was, in details, but I knew that whatever I put into this, I was going to get it 10 times back. It was something that I had to take some time and really decide, okay, am I comfortable with this? And I wasn't for a while. I had to sit down with my wife and be like, okay, listen, I'm going to have to take a pay cut this year because the only money I have available to pay for this is personal money that's coming to me, as a weekly check or every other week. It's going to come directly out of what I bring home. But long term, it's going to benefit me far more than what I put into it, the financially. No, it was a chunk of change, and it was probably 4 times more than I was comfortable spending. But I knew the importance of it, and I knew that I would get out of it far more than what I'm putting into it financially. So,
a quick question comes to mind. Would Foghorn Designs be here today if you wouldn't have wrote that check?
I can promise you it wouldn't be. Promise you wouldn't be. The knowledge that I got out of that group in the first month was taught me more than my previous 8 years in business ever did. And the only question I still ask myself why I didn't do this earlier. Why I didn't seek it out. This particular program wasn't available. I was basically the beta test of this group. It was their first go around. Now the program I knew was solid, but they had never done these group coachings. But I just believed in it, and I wish this would have come into my life 5 years ago, but I also don't think I would have taken it up 5 years ago. I needed to go through what I went through.
You had to be beaten.
I had to be beaten, and I was beaten. 17 and 18 were just beginning of 18, but 17 I could block that from my memory. And I don't want to though. I learned.
No, Dr. Phil has room on his TV show every single day.
I don't need Dr.
Looking
Phil.
for Trevor to come sit down and talk about 2017.
I don't need Dr. Phil. No.
So think about this. You wrote a check.
Mm-hmm.
Significant check.
For me, I mean, others might say, well, that's nothing. But for me, I mean, it
hurt a little.
Yes.
It hurt a little.
It hurt.
And immediately your thought process.
It hurts every month. I wrote that check every month.
Yeah.
It wasn't a one-time deal. It was, it was a monthly thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it doesn't hurt as much anymore.
Right.
But, those first 3 months, I didn't know where the money was going to come from. And which just made me more invested. And I absorbed everything they were giving me. And it's working. I've got ways to go. I mean, I think every small business owner would probably say the same thing, even if they're...
You never get there.
No.
You never arrive.
Right.
Ever.
And that's the joy of it. That's what makes being a business owner so much fun to me.
Once you get comfortable with knowing that all the joy and all the fulfillment comes from the journey
mm-hmm.
and not from reaching the destination, everything changes. Yeah. Because it becomes the game of how can I do it better? How can I help more people? How can I bring more value to the marketplace?
Sure.
How can I blow my employees' mind today? How can I blow my clients' mind today? And whatever worked today to accomplish all those things will be different tomorrow. So it's always evolving and never changing.
Right.
But I also want to bring up, while we're at this point, you wrote a check that hurt.
Yeah.
There's a free masterminds opportunities within Huron County Chamber of Commerce right now. Free.
Yes.
How much does it cost? It's freaking free.
It's free. You have to be a member.
Have to be a member. And again, though, I was told by a source far above us that during this time of the corona craziness, that's not even a requirement right now. That if you're a business owner that wants to mentor and get into and be around other people just like you, maybe from a different business, never ever a competitor,
mm-hmm.
but with a group of people that are all fighting the exact same battle that you're fighting, that opportunity exists.
Sure.
So we're going to put in the comments after this podcast how to get a hold of Director Kelly Lippis at the Huron County Chamber of Commerce to inquire about being part of a mastermind. And we've been part of one, you and I together, for, is it going on 2 years?
I think it's going on 2 years.
Okay.
It's pretty close anyway.
Now, would you say that within that mastermind, the free one,
mm-hmm.
the free one, this isn't the high dollar one, this is the free one, so you get what you pay for, that you've been able to pull any value or provide any value in those meetings?
So, I would write that check
mm-hmm.
for that same group.
Mm-hmm.
For this masterminds.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing being a part of a masterminds group with people from all over the country. It's another thing being a part of a masterminds group from people in your local community.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants what's best for the community. So there's that added connection and that added drive to help each other out. Like you said, it's non-competing businesses
mm-hmm.
who just want to help each other succeed. And by those competing or non-competing businesses, those businesses in that local group, if they succeed, our community succeeds. In hindsight, looking back on this last year and a half of my masterminds group that is part of my coaching, and then our local one through the chamber, I have gotten out of both
mm-hmm.
equal amount, different information, equal value.
Mm-hmm.
One was free, one costs a fortune.
There's one piece that I think that the coaching, I pay for coaching too.
Mm-hmm.
Tiger Woods pays for coaching. anybody that wants to be truly the best at what they do is willing to know that there's always something I can improve on. There's always a better way. There's always a hitch in my swing that I can adjust to get one more yard out of my drive, so to speak.
Sure.
But the one piece that nobody ever brings up when they bring up masterminds is accountability. You know, as part of a coaching program or as part of masterminds, and you come to a group and you're implementing your plan, putting together your processes and procedures, and all of a sudden you have somebody that you know in 2-3 weeks is going to ask you, hey, how's it coming with those processes and procedures?
Yes.
That's motivating.
Yeah.
And
you don't
some
want to
of
tell
us,
them you didn't do it.
I need that.
Yeah.
You know, I never want to be the guy that said, you know what, I dialed it in, dude. You know, I took the day off. Life is good.
You have to check your ego at the door in these groups.
Yep.
You have to be willing to be told how it is. It's the only way you can grow. If you think that you've got it all figured out, you don't.
You'll learn.
You'll learn real quick. And I probably couldn't count the times that you've called me out on bullshit.
Always very polite and respectful.
Even if it's not. There's something about that. I love it. I love being told that I'm doing something wrong. Because I can't change it if I don't know. And
Same here.
no, there's certain things that I'm a little more. I'm about as stubborn as they come. And for someone to tell me I'm doing something wrong, it hurt. I embrace it now. I love when someone says, "Hey, listen, I saw you were doing this. Throw that in the trash. You need to focus your attention here. You need to make these changes." I 2 years ago, you would have hurt my feelings. Everything that you said to me. Now, I literally find myself asking people what I'm doing wrong. I find myself asking people that all the time. I can't grow if I don't know. And I really want to be better.
The thing that comes across, Trevor, and this is why you're so good and why I know what your trajectory is long term as a business owner, and trust me, it may not always be Foghorn Designs. I don't know.
Right.
It could be, might not be. But I just know your trajectory. And it's because it's not just that, you know, you'll listen to somebody that's going to give you some advice or say, hey, call you out. A client even. Call you out and say, hey, you know, I'm not satisfied. It's because you authentically give a shit.
Right.
And then you will authentically make changes to make sure that whatever that weakness or that soft spot that was pointed out is corrected, or wherever that lack of service or that miss that happened within the business is taken care of. That just guarantees what the line is, for sure.
And I don't always. Some changes are harder to make than others. You know,
Right.
I mean, you know, I can you can cut this out if you want to. I can fuck up, but I promise you, it's never on purpose. Like, that's why I like being called out. Call me out. That's fine. I embrace that. And I will do anything I can to fix it.
Right.
The fix may not always be. It's not always a flip of a switch. Like, there are things that, you know, slip through the cracks. But to know what I'm doing wrong, at least I can, you know, I'm conscious of that now. I can make that change. Yeah, that's.
Well, to wrap up, I want to wrap up the part about employees real quick.
Sure.
And there's something unique that you did, at least this last year. I don't know if it was been multiple years that you've done it or not. But you had a company retreat. And that is something that is just not done in the small business space. Can you give us a little idea of why you did it, for one, and what happened during it, and then what ultimately was the end result when it was all done?
So this year was our second year.
Second year.
Yep, October was our second company retreat. And really it was just about getting the group together in a relaxed environment outside of the shop. where we could let our filters down. Not that many of us have filters in our shop. We usually say it how, call it how we see it with each other. But it was an environment that allowed us to open up and talk about what we're doing well, what we need to work on, and then strategize the following year. What changes do we want to make? Are there certain products and services that just aren't in line with our vision, aren't serving our customers as well as they should be? So we get together, we spend a weekend. It's a Friday night. Friday nights usually just we get together, we have some drinks, we have a good dinner, hang out, and then all day Saturday we are.
So you're staying overnight.
Yep, we're staying overnight.
Off-site location.
Off-site location. It's been the same location the last 2 years. It'll probably be the same location this year. Everyone enjoys it. It's a house. We're right up on the bay.
You can keep 6 foot social distancing?
Is it 50 foot if we need? No, it's just a really nice place that's very relaxing and just allows us to, be out of the shop environment and just get our minds flowing and get, we brainstorm. This year we actually had a couple guest speakers. You were one of them. Mm-hmm. And I know moving forward that I need to find guest speakers because you guys knocked it out of the park, and they loved it. They took so much away from that. So yeah, it's really just about a year in review, and then strategizing for the coming year. Where our marketing focus is going to be. Where are how do we want to be involved in the community? We implemented the volunteer program.
So that came out of your
correct
retreat.
Correct.
That came out of the volunteering, the keeping track of it.
Yep.
The rewarding with vacation time.
Yeah.
Came out of that meeting.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct. That came out of that meeting. The previous year's meeting came out. Probably our biggest takeaway from that was that we needed an office manager. We needed to bring someone in who could make sure that projects were staying on track, who were taking care of customers as they came in, they called, creating a relationship, a one point of contact for our customers that they know that they can call Haley and say, "Hey Haley, how is this project coming along?" She's going to know the answer to that. We don't have to forward the call to another person in the shop. She's been a huge asset to our company, and that was probably our biggest thing that came out of our first year. This past year, the biggest thing, one of the big ones was the volunteer program. The other one was just simplifying. We found ourselves
processes,
simplifying services and products. We found ourselves really spreading thin.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, yeah, and we wanted to kind of rein that back in and really offer what we're great at. Certainly if we can help in any way, we try, but we're not afraid to say, hey, we're probably not the best fit for this project. And as much as it pains me to send them to a shop on the other side of town or outside of town, if they're going to serve that need better, I think we've done our job at that point. If we can't serve that need as much as someone else can, I'd rather them just go get that taken care of elsewhere. It's not because I don't want to do it. It's just because I think I know our strengths and our weaknesses, and that was something we really focused on this year at our retreat. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What changes do we need to make sure that whatever we are doing for our customers is the best they're going to get? And if we can't provide that, we have to be okay with sending them down the road.
They'll take care of them.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of a hard pill to swallow, but important, I think.
Well, being part of that last year, and what month was that in actually?
That was last year's was October. It was October.
October.
Yes.
So officially. Yes. So just so everybody understands the makeup of this meeting that I find so unique is one is held off site. So there's no interruptions, there's no anything that can take focus away from that time of being together. That's one, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
And then there's allocated time for where there's nothing going on.
Correct.
It's just sitting around, having a drink or two, an adult beverage, an occasional some good eats,
Yeah.
and just enjoying each other outside the space to remember that each of the team is a person that has their own BS that they're dealing with out in their own lives, their own trials, their own successes, and that they all have their individual stuff. They're just not the guy sitting next to me at work.
Right.
The one that's complaining to me that, hey, you need to get your stuff done.
Right.
And then you had speakers come in on topics that you thought were time important. I mean, they were critical for the moment that the business was in.
And they complemented each other. One was customer service. The other one was customer experience. So customer focused.
Sure.
You know, that's something that I found our company getting away from. I could feel it. And that was definitely not something that I ever wanted to happen.
When you say that you could feel it or you saw it coming, like what was the indicator?
Well, a lot of it was not an intentional situation. It was, this retreat, this past year's retreat was, everything was just so tied together perfectly. Trying to focus on what we are best at. I think prior to that, we just wanted to help everyone, and by doing that, we actually
help no one.
We're helping no one. I mean, I don't want to say no one, but we were certainly not helping them to the best of our ability. So, we were, someone come in and they wanted this thing that we'd never done before, but we can figure it out. Sure, we'll take on that project. Well, that took away from our customers who we could really help. Being able to say no to a job that's coming through the front door is a tough thing to do. But we owe it to the customers that we have and our clients that we have that we've worked with forever and on services and products that we're great at, because we are great at several things, but there were just things that we were taking on that we were like, well, we have the capability, let's give it a shot.
Right.
And that was taking away too much from our core vision, our core services. So having this, and by that we were, some of our customers, projects were going longer than they needed to go, or we just weren't having the communication that we needed to have to keep the customers informed about where their project stands. And I saw that some things I act quickly on. Some things I'm very like, no, I don't think that's a problem. We're okay. And it goes on for 2 years, 3 years. And then I'm like, well, shit. Yes, I needed to be focused on this a little bit more. So this retreat this year was very much on how can we get back to the customer? How can we get back to making sure whatever it is we're doing, the customers are taken care of. They're first and foremost. And that's one of those things that's not really a flip of a switch.
Right.
Figuring out.
That's a culture change.
It is, yes, it is a culture change.
So, anyways, at the retreat, the thing that I took away from it as being a spectator for just a piece of it was you could tell that it was appreciated by the team members that you took the time, invested the money. I mean, because they're getting paid for all this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you took the time, you invested the money, and what they said, their opinions mattered. They weren't being led, political sidebar, like by our governor today, back to normal. They were actually part of a team, not part of a group that's being a slave that's being controlled by a master.
Right.
So my takeaway was that that's something that every business, no matter size or scale, because even the big businesses that we have in our chamber, in our area, those big businesses are broke down into, component pieces. And that component piece could easily break away and have a retreat.
Sure. And
have some type of a team, again, the PC stuff of team bonding and all that makes me want to cry. Real tears.
Yeah.
But what you did, because it was real and authentic and not pushed, not scripted, not planned, made it, the return of equity, return on investment for that is just crazy good.
Absolutely. I think, they know that they're heard. Mm-hmm. They know that their ideas are taken into consideration, and in fact, most of them are implemented. It's run very much as a democracy. Yes, my decision is my decision at the end of the day, but I don't think there are many ideas that I don't try to implement in any way, shape, or form. I try to implement them some way, because the ideas that they bring to the table are only going to help improve the company. That's we have one-on-one meetings throughout the year. We have group meetings throughout the year. I think we get the most return in our big company retreat at once a year. Mm-hmm. It's a weekend. We have a good time. People kind of let their guards down a little bit. Not that guards are let down a whole lot at the shop anyway, but ideas get flowing, and we're not limited to having to stop because we need to get back to work. It's, we have a whole weekend to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about, to plan about whatever it is we want to plan about. And those 2 days are more valuable than the other 363 as far as strategic planning is concerned. And the ideas that come out of those 2 days, they can't all come, we can't go back to work on Monday and be like, they're all there. We implement them as we can. I think you'll see, you've known Foghorn for several years. Mm-hmm. I think it's not a flip of a switch, but I think you will see over the next 2 years, a much different company than you saw in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. Mm-hmm. We have some big plans moving forward. They're all good. They're all going to be customer focused. Mm-hmm. We're going to have, Foghorn will be a different company in a year. So
I would expect no less. Now, what I want to do is, again, we've chatted now for a long time, mm-hmm. and I know we might need to break this up into a couple different pieces.
Probably.
But there is still some good stuff that I think that we can mine out yet, that I think we have a responsibility to do for anybody who takes the time to listen to this. Mm-hmm. My mind goes to the business that has been forcibly shut. The person that was called non-essential. Like you. So all of a sudden, we're starting to see potential visions of us getting back to business. What does a business that's been truly the switch flipped off for 6 to 8 weeks, what should they be doing now, in your opinion, to get ready so when the dimmer switch, again, according to our governor, dimmer switch, we're allowed to start gradually opening back up? What should they be focusing on now?
So I think that if they haven't already been focusing on this, they need to focus on looking at the perspective of the customer. What have, in our customers' eyes, what have we been doing during this time? Have we been positive? Have we been engaged in I'm going to go with social media right now. Have we also flipped that switch? Or have we said, okay, listen, we can't technically be open and allowing customers to come in, but have we still been engaged with them during this time? Have we been positive? Have we been helping in any way, shape, or form? And when we are allowed to open back up, we need to have each other's backs.
Well, hey man, I do appreciate all the time we spent on the retreat. That's something that I know that can be immediately implemented by just about anybody once we're allowed to get back together again.
Yeah.
We need to wrap this up. We've been going. We could do this forever, and we'll have to do this again for sure. There's tons of good gold nuggets here, and I hope everybody that's watching and or listening can find something of value in here. A couple things. This is a fun question. It's one I always think about myself. So if you could go back in time to 16-year-old Trevor,
Okay.
and you could give him a couple pieces of advice that would change everything, save him some pain, make him some more money, get him some more fulfillment, what would a couple things that you would tell 16-year-old Trevor the superhero, what would you tell him those two things would be?
Probably the first, 16 years old. The first would be to follow your heart and not listen to what everyone else told you they thought you should do at that time. I was the art kid in school, so everyone, you're going to art school, right? You're going to art school. That was probably the worst decision I ever made, was to go to art school. It's probably not a decision I would have made had I not been pushed in that direction. Looking back now, I probably wouldn't have gone to school at all. I would have loved to have gotten started at 18 and made my mistakes 18, 19, 20, 21, and then really been able to focus on, making my future a little more focused, I guess. So that would have been one. I didn't finish college. It wasn't for me.
Right.
So 16 years old, I would have said, don't go to college. That's probably not what a lot of people want to hear. But that's what that would have been the advice to me.
If you get some dirty looks or flipped off when somebody drives by you in Norwalk,
and you know what? I am 100% okay with that. 100%. That is, if I have a regret in life, it is that I went to college.
I understand.
100%. Another one would have been to brush off the fear. Fear held me back, still does. I think fear holds everyone back. It's really the only thing that holds you back.
Yep.
I carried too much weight, and I allowed that to control too much of my decisions in life, is fear. Especially out of high school, in your 20s, make mistakes. That's the time to do it. Don't figure out that you've been making mistakes when you're 30. That's what I did.
Right.
I made mistakes my entire 20 in my 20s, but I didn't realize I was making them. I thought, shit, this is sweet. I'm making the right decisions. I started my business when I was 23, 24 years old. The world was my oyster. I knew what I was doing. Bullshit. Embrace mistakes, embrace failure, follow your heart, don't go to college. That would have been, for me, that would have ended in the best result for myself personally.
Sure.
It depends on what you want to do in life.
Right.
You have to go to college if you want to be a doctor. You have to go to college if you want to be a lawyer. You don't have to go to college to be a business owner.
Right.
Small business owner.
There's stuff you need to know.
But
the failed people that couldn't do it are at college teaching you right now.
Yep, and I would have also, probably the biggest thing that's held me back is other than fear, was just my my ignorance to the financial part of things. Just not focusing and learning as much as I possibly could on how to handle finances. That would be. There used to be a time when that stuff was taught in school. I don't know that it's there anymore. I don't think it was there when I don't think there was an opportunity when I was in school even. And maybe there never was. I don't know. But I know that I didn't experience it. And, that would have been... And I can look back, hindsight's 20/20. I don't know as a 16-year-old that I would have given a shit about learning how to control finances. But there are some who would. But if I could go back and say, hey, this is 34-year-old Trevor talking to 16-year-old Trevor, get your shit together.
Know your damn numbers.
Know your numbers and follow your heart. That would have been my biggest advice to myself.
That's great advice. Now, again, you said up until a year or two ago, you had only read maybe a book or two. So now you've read 80 plus.
Yeah.
What if you could only give one? And I'm going to clarify it. Not one to anybody, one to a business owner just like you. What book would it be?
It is very hard to give one book. I could give you 3 for sure, and I know exactly which 3 they'd be.
Okay, well, give me 3 then.
Principles by Ray Dalio. For sure one of them.
The Bible.
Yeah. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And the third one for me was just what introduced me into this, was that Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Now, I would say that's what worked for me as the first one. I think of his collection, Clockwork is probably the best.
Most practical.
Most practical. Because he touches on Profit First in that book. Those would be the 3. I could give you 10 more, but
we got to start somewhere.
I know. Lee Cockrell, look him up. He'd be another one that I'd read his books. Creating Magic.
We're going to make sure in the comments that we put links to the books that you mentioned today, for sure. And then if you have a few others that you want to add as we're doing all the editing for this, we're glad to put those in too.
Yeah.
Now, I want to take a second. Well, first of all, let's do this. If people want to find you and they want to be able to contact or communicate with you, what's the best way to do that?
Direct is Trevor at foghorndesigns.com.
Trevor at foghorndesigns.com. Also be in the comments.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that is my direct email. It goes to any computer or phone that I have.
Are you on the socials?
Oh, yeah. Instagram and Facebook are my main focuses right now. I haven't really dipped into LinkedIn or Twitter, but it is something that we'll be getting more involved in. But Instagram is definitely, if you're looking for a portfolio of what we do, Instagram.
Is that a Foghorn Designs call name on that?
Yep, at Foghorn Designs, and then just facebook.com/Foghorn Designs. Those are great ways to see what we're about. Foghorndesigns.com is our website. But yeah, Trevor at foghorndesigns.com. If you want to get in touch with me directly, that's it.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that everybody that is watching this, all 3 people that are watching this, make sure they know how to get a hold of you. I want to take a brief second and acknowledge you a little bit for the things that I've seen you accomplish just in the time that I've known you. We can go back 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know what it was. We didn't have a relationship as friends or whatever at that point, but we met as part of a chamber group when it was a mentor group to start with young entrepreneurs.
Yep.
And to see the growth, both through learning, both through mistakes that were made, and to see what you've accomplished over the time, from the time that you started until today, I know I personally have learned a lot from it. And it's fun to look back at those lessons and realize, man, I'm sure glad I didn't make that, and Trevor did.
Yeah.
That helped out a lot. And then also I want to acknowledge you, too, for your involvement in the community and the Chamber of Commerce here in Norwalk, Ohio. I know there's a lot of time spent there, a lot of wisdom given there. And I know that's appreciated by a lot of us in the community, too. So I want to make sure I acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
We'll make sure that we'll probably have to split this into a couple episodes. But if there is demand and people want to hear more, we're glad to sit down and do this again. I mean, we did kill about half a bottle of bourbon during this interview, which is never a bad thing.
Nope.
But until the next time, God bless America, kick ass.